Welcome everybody to the Week 6 recap episode versus the Tennessee Titans.
In London.
Yeah, in London. Had to get up super early. For me in Utah, I had to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning just to watch the Ravens. And my goodness, it was a long day, long Sunday that normally I like to catch up on my sleep on.
Yeah, I feel that. I worked, but then I was successful in blocking out all of social media and fantasy football and the NFL and everything. So when I got home, I just watched the condensed game, and yeah, it was a game.
Yeah, so I guess quickly let's go over the injuries. In game that happened, we had Brent Urban had a neck injury in the first half, which they said was a stinger issue. That sidelined him pretty much the rest of the game, so he did not play much. Marcus Williams, during the interception of Geno Stone, went down with a hamstring injury. It sounds like he's going to miss some time. He's from Harbaugh's press conference. He's going to be week to week, so I don't see him playing this week. And
No, not.
no, which I'm fine with because he still did not look back to his old self with that single arm.
I think he needs to be on IR right now, but
I think honestly, it's just a matter of if he's. I'm okay with him playing, but I don't think he should start.
Well, like what happens when he tries to make a tackle and he just completely rolls over on it, and even though he can't damage it more, he just hurts it. Like it hurts, and he does that multiple times in a game. I mean, you saw him try to make these one-arm tackles. He embarrassed himself against Derrick Henry. I mean, yeah, he made a couple plays. He was good because he's a superstar, and you can't really take that away from him. Half of Marcus Williams is better than no Marcus Williams, but at the same time,
someone like Geno Stone playing the way he is, it's kind of hard to. I feel like a full Geno Stone is better than a half Marcus Williams right now.
Absolutely. And what I was also gonna say was just we have Marcus Williams for 3 more years on contract after this. If he really hurts himself or something, that's we got to think forward. We've invested a lot of money into him, and even though it's frustrating that he can't play, he's not making the team better by playing. I think in the case of an emergency, he could play. Like if Geno Stone got hurt and then Brandon Stevens was also hurt, then I could see Marcus Williams coming into play, but I don't think he needs to play right now. I think he needs to just sit out. And I honestly think that we need to sign someone in the secondary so that maybe if another safety does go down, we can move Brandon Stevens back and then have another corner.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about our practice squad right now. I think we do have DeAndre Houston-Carson.
Okay.
We also are going to, I'm guessing whenever Darryl Worley gets back, we'll have him.
What is the update with that? Because I really haven't heard much.
Didn't they place him on the IR 2 weeks after the last game or the week before? I want to say, I'm just going to look at it. I don't think it was the Pittsburgh game. It was the Browns game. Yeah, Browns game. Darryl Worley got hurt, but we didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
I
didn't know if he was in IR.
Yeah. But we do have DeAndre Houston-Carson also that is healthy because Duron Harmon got signed off our practice squad from the Bears. But
yeah.
Anyways,
it could have been worse. Justin Fields hurt his throwing hand. Can't remember who else got hurt. Oh, Christian McCaffrey got a pointer injury, or no, what was it?
Ribs, something in that area.
That's not good because he's a running back, and
it's good for me. I play against him in fantasy next week, so hopefully
I'm 1-5 in fantasy. I can't win.
I'm 3. After this week, I will be 3-3. I'm definitely.
I technically could win tonight if Keenan Allen gets hurt and the Cowboys defense puts up 50 points, but which has happened. They put up 40 a few weeks ago, but I'm not gonna win. It's so weird.
But other injury news: Malik Harrison actually went out later in the game with a concussion. It sounds like it's not a serious one though. Harbaugh said he's clearing protocol quickly. So I'm assuming it's a very mild concussion, or maybe just symptoms. And then Kayvon Seymour, I forget how to pronounce his name. Anyways, they didn't say what he hurt, but they just said it's not serious.
Yeah, he probably just tweaked something.
And then the guys that didn't play, updates on them. Ojabo is in the neighborhood of returning, is what how he worded it. And then Tyus Bowser sounds like he has a more serious injury because he worded it. Harbaugh said that Tyus Bowser he's going to let Tyus announce what his plans are and that he has a decision to make. So it sounds like he's going to be done for the year. Probably going to have to get a surgery of some sort, which sucks because
I still wonder what happened.
it seems like every time we sign someone to a big extension, they get hurt.
Like,
Stanley,
don't say
Marcus
that.
Williams.
Don't jinx this. Don't jinx this.
I mean, I sure hope freaking Roquan, knock on wood. He's the
Or
only one.
Lamar.
And Lamar.
Lamar since he's been signed.
But he's been hurt throughout his career, so I don't count him. I'm saying guys that have been healthy and then they get an extension and they get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Roquan.
But initial reactions, I would just say for this game, it was another first half double-digit lead, and we were lucky this time we didn't blow it, is how I looked at it. 6 field goals by Justin Tucker. Someone here pronounced that he would be getting at least 6. Michael, that was an amazing prediction.
I just felt it. It's like a London thing. I don't think it's like anything other than the fact that we played in London and it would be difficult to score.
Yeah. And then, man, call it Hamilton ejection. It just felt like the refs were trying to play their part.
I heard something about that, actually. That wasn't a call from the refs. That was a call from New York to get Kyle Hamilton.
Either way, I just feel like this year more than most, the referees are playing their part more in games than they should. And I feel like it's starting to feel like the NFL is somewhat rigged because of this whole betting becoming a big thing now. With, it just seems like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being suspicious, but that's how I feel.
Look, you're saying what's in the back of everyone's mind who watches the game, because the refs have been god awful this year. And even if it wasn't like some big conspiracy, it wouldn't be hard to imagine. I mean, how many times do NFL players get busted for betting on games? A ref totally could. They had that whole scandal in the NBA.
Yeah.
I feel like the NFL doesn't do anything about it because they don't really care that much. Because they benefit off of it either way.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just, I don't know. No one thought that a backup quarterback Browns without Deshaun Watson would beat San Francisco. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if the refs played their part in that. And then on top of that, the Jets beating the Eagles. Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into offense. First off, the Titans defense is very good. Their defense, I think, just had an off week against Indianapolis the week before, because when we just played them, their run defense, especially up front, was just really good. We had 39 carries for 139 yards total rushing, including Lamar's rush scrambles, and that's about 3.6 yards per carry. So we are definitely normally much higher average than that. And then
I don't think that's to the Ravens' fault. That is definitely because of the defensive line of the Titans.
Yeah, Simmons is a beast, no matter how dirty he is. I mean, I know he took a dirty shot at Zay Flowers, and Odell backed him up, and luckily we caught him retaliating. I just remember back when we played them in the playoffs the last time, when it was Marshall Yonda's last game, he said in the press conference how Simmons spit in his face and shit like that. So
sounds like a Vontez Burfict kind of person, just dirty hits. And I mean, I understand being a nasty person because you're like a competitor and that's just the mode that you get into when you play games. But like there's such a thing as too far.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers was already down, had 2 guys on him wrapped up, and they blew the whistle, and Simmons dives at his knee and tries to twist it all up.
Yeah.
That was messed up. But luckily, Zay is fine, and Odell had his back, which was nice to see. But other than that, offensively, the biggest story, I would say, is our red zone offense. It was so good through the first couple weeks, and then on Sunday, we were 1 for 6 with touchdown percentage.
What does that put us at since Pittsburgh? Like 2 for 12?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks we've been awful in the red zone. So I know it's something that they've addressed.
Anytime we face a decent defense, we can't score.
Yeah, it just seems like he was trying to compensate for last week because we couldn't run the ball in the red zone last week. We tried to pass it, and then this week we did the
Yeah.
opposite. Neither worked. So I don't I don't know. I just feel like you got to take what the defense gives you. If they're going to load up the box, you need to throw the ball. If you can spread them out and create run lanes, then do that. But right now it's just like, and I also think earlier on in the red zone, it seemed like Lamar was getting most of the touchdowns with his legs. He had like
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row where he had 2 rushing touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah. Against the Colts and then the Browns.
And
Then we stopped.
maybe teams are catching on to that and they're just focusing on him, and we need to figure out other ways.
Well, that's when you throw. I mean, what we did with Zay on his touchdown, our only touchdown of the day, that was in the red zone, and that was a good substitute to just running it up the middle directly 4 times in a row, 3 times in a row. Like
Yeah, it was a quick pass and then turned into like a little scramble drill.
I mean,
And
at least if you're going to try and run it, at least do something exotic and different than what you
then
normally
you also
do.
have a top 5 tight end in the NFL.
Right, top 5 tight end, top 5 quarterback, top 5 rookie, or top 5 of rookies as a wide receiver, not like a top 5 wide receiver, but you know what. So you've got, and then I mean, I would still consider OBJ to be a weapon in the red zone
He
at the
needs to
very
be. For what we're giving him, he needs to be a top weapon in the
least.
red zone. I do think that this week he showed more burst for
He
sure.
did. He's getting there. He's coming off injury. I think come week 8 or 9, he's going to really start to fit into this offense, and then either he'll finish the year and do okay, like just be serviceable, or he'll get hurt again after it's looking really good and just like miss games and then just be what he has been all year. So hopefully the former. I it hurts to see him struggle with morale because he really just wants to be out there, and it's these stupid little ankle injury that like ankle injuries don't go away. They always lag. They always like seem to stick around. I mean, you guys remember the playoffs last year, how they kept saying, "Oh, Lamar's going to be back this week. Oh, 2 weeks. Oh no. Oh wait, never played." So I understand the frustration, and it sucks to see him going through this. But eventually, we paid the man $18 million with incentives. You got to be doing more than 3 catches for 12 yards a week.
Yeah, definitely. He's averaging 3 catches a game right now, and that's not enough. He doesn't have any touchdowns.
Or targets. No, he has 1 target in the red zone at least.
Yeah, he does have one, I think, from earlier on in the year. But
the pick against the Steelers.
But Lamar, he had his stats were 21 for 30, 223 with a touchdown and 1 interception, and then he had 13 carries for 62 yards. The interception,
that interception was dumb.
I don't know. I feel like something was off there. I feel like that there might have been a miscommunication on the route with Rashad Bateman.
I would. Did they say what happened? Did Lamar say what happened? Like in the presser?
I didn't hear anyone ask him about it. But I don't know. I think the hard part for people to see is that Bateman didn't make an effort to jump and try and at least try to catch the ball, because it didn't seem like it was that much over his head. For someone that's right behind him to catch it, he should be able to at least tip it. Maybe he was afraid of tipping it up and then them intercepting it off the tip. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't think Rashad Bateman's going to be a Raven very much longer. I think both sides are kind of ready for a split. So
he's someone I wouldn't put it past the Ravens of him being moved with the trade deadline.
Yeah, but that would put us at a hole at wide receiver. So unless we were picking up another like legitimate starting caliber wide receiver, we probably wouldn't do that.
I don't think there's a real hole. Like, what kind of hole is Rashad Bateman going to leave?
Well, my thing is injury. We need the depth. We've proven that no one's going to stay healthy.
Laquan Treadwell, which I think is just as capable at this point.
Laquan Treadwell.
At this point, dude, Bateman has had like 6 catches in 6 weeks.
Right. I'm thinking though, like, what if we just Sarah Ellison was saying it on the vault yesterday. Whatever we do at the trade deadline, don't just trade for a piece. Like, we're making a push for a Super Bowl. You can tell we're all in. Trade for a star. Do like the Roquan Smith, Marcus Peters thing, and whatever position you decide to go for, whether it's running back, edge rusher, somewhere in the secondary, or another wide receiver. Get a star. Get someone who's legitimately going to make an impact here for years to come, not just half a year.
The other guy that people forget about is we still have Duvernay.
He had a really good punt. Was it a punt or a kickoff? Really good punt return in the second quarter.
And he got caught by the punter.
He got caught by the punter.
Last year, Devin Duvernay does not get caught by the punter.
Well, I think it was just kind of when he ran, he had to like run through the middle and then out. And so like it was just an easy angle for the punter to kind of box him in.
That punter was low key moving.
Yeah, he was. Kind of was. I don't think Duvernay expected him to be that fast.
No. I was like, damn.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? I think
he ate his crepes that morning.
Yeah. He really did, man. He had his tea. I'm trying to God damn it. No, what I was gonna say is the only unfortunate thing was that after that we couldn't capitalize and get a touchdown.
That was the story of the day.
I do appreciate the fact that we didn't try to force it on fourth down when we clearly knew we weren't going to get it. It's not like the run game was working and we could just like give it to Gus up the middle. We would have probably had to pass it, and it was better to just take the points. And I'm glad we did, because it ended up, we've missed on taking the points in the past, and it's come to bite us in the butt. Last week, we didn't take the field goal against the Steelers, and what happened? We'd lose by a touchdown. But really, if we had that field goal, it wouldn't have gotten to that point, I don't think. The Colts game, no, it wasn't a missed opportunity. We just were short on the kick. That was the Tucker miss.
Well, we did have an extra point blocked.
Yeah, that the flag before that was so stupid.
Well, it was a good call, I think. That was the right call. Odell started blocking too early. He had to wait until after Flowers caught the pass, and then he can block.
Okay, but tell me how they'll call that, but like 80% of the time when Ryan Tannehill wasn't touched, there was a Titan going like this to a Ravens player, like holding them blatantly, and there would be no flag.
I didn't think they called any holding calls, it seemed like.
And the Titans, the only way they could stop us from getting their quarterback was to hold. So, like, I mean, I saw it happen on multiple occasions. No flags, but they just love to call the DPIs against the Ravens. Look, I get it. Bill Vinovich is a attention-seeking bastard, but
what's weird is before this game, he had been the type that didn't throw a lot of penalties, but it seemed like he was ready to throw the flags this week.
Probably because he was in London. He's like, look at me, I'm a ref. I'm in London. I'm so good. Let me target the Ravens because the Titans suck, and I bet $1,000 on Derrick Henry to have 100 yards. Ooh. No. Okay, let me stop.
But offensively, like big news-wise, Zay Flowers' first career touchdown. Finally, it seems like every week we're like, all right, this is the week. He finally got it.
Finally did.
Did you see his dance?
No, I didn't.
I think he had the flower basket. And he was handing out the flowers out of the flower basket.
That's awesome. I did not see that.
And then, hey, guess what? No offensive fumbles.
I know. First time this year, I think.
It's amazing.
Hey, I mean, you never really know what to expect going into a London game, and I thought it was going to be like a really sloppy kind of turnover heavy game for both teams. But I actually think, I mean, we definitely had turnovers, but definitely did a good job of holding onto the ball, and just made smart decisions. The one interception, like you said, was just a miscommunication. I know I called it a dumb.
I said it last week. I'm fine with interceptions more than I am fumbles.
Yeah, interceptions happen. Sometimes you just don't see it. But anyway, I think it's fair to say mid-average offensive game. We moved the ball down the field very well. In the third quarter, we turned it off like we have for the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but then the big thing that worries me, I went back and looked. The first half of games this year, we average 16.3 points and 245 yards of offense. In the second half of games, we average 4.3 points and 85.3 yards of offense. So we average about 75% less yards and points in the second half of games.
It's pathetic. We gotta figure it out. I mean, do you think we're just not making adjustments, or
other teams are making adjustments and we aren't adjusting off them?
Yeah, that's really annoying. Todd Monk and I expect more from you. You've shown us that you can do it.
And maybe it's
the one game you really go ahead,
just being
sorry.
conservative, like, because we get off to those leads and then we're trying to be conservative in the second half.
What is the harm in going up by 21 rather than just holding on to a 14-point lead, or going up by 17 and holding on to a 10-point lead? Like,
I
what's
just feel
the
like
harm in that?
the offense is putting too much pressure on the defense because they know they're playing good. And then at the end of in the fourth quarter, when the defense is tired, they've been on the field for so long in the second half, back to back drives, because we are going 3 and out on offense. It's really coming back to get us at the end of games.
You just think these people are like professional coaches and athletes. You wonder how they don't see or understand any of this kind of stuff. And it makes you think that there's like a reason why they do it, but then it just continues to fail. So you kind of lose faith in the decision makers. And I think that's why there's so much frustration in the fan base around John Harbaugh every year, is because he's always been a little more conservative, and he's always stuck to being conservative as far as like finishing games.
Well, there was the span of 1 or 2 seasons where he went for it on fourth down almost every time, and then we weren't getting it.
2020, we had like averaged like 8 yards per carry back then.
But we were not getting our fourth down conversions. They were pretty low, and people were really getting on them for going for it and being aggressive. And now it's the opposite. We're being too conservative. Now, I don't mind this week because, yes, we need to score in the red zone. But when it was fourth down and it's the game's as close as it is, you got to take the points.
Right.
I mean,
right. No, I get that. I agree with that. I just wish, instead of like just running the ball twice and then doing like a screen pass, we would have actually just attacked the field like we do in the first half, at least till the beginning of the fourth quarter if we have the lead, you know?
It's almost like we come out on fire in the beginning of games, and then the other team wakes up all of a sudden at halftime, and we go to sleep. And we go to sleep. Yeah. And it's like we need to come out with that same energy that we do in the first half in the second half. And I feel like that has to be on, one, the leadership on the offensive side of the ball, because I don't think we have a problem defensively finishing. It's just offense.
Look, y'all.
And secondly, it's coming down to the offensive coaches. You can't just rely on Harbaugh to motivate these guys. Monken, the position coaches, all those guys have to put it into everyone's head that we're not out here to just move the ball down a couple times and punt. We're trying to score every drive.
I would like to say something that might be a bit controversial, but I would like to put the Ravens on pretender watch, contender, pretender, because if they continue to do this, they will lose in their last, we're 5-1, so we have 11 games left. They will probably lose 9 of those games because they play a really difficult schedule. We have the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Lions, the Bengals, Browns, Steelers, the Rams, the Chargers, the Jaguars. These aren't teams you can just let come back into games. You're going to lose these games if you let that happen. So figure it out, or be ready to have like a 12th pick in the draft, 14th pick in the draft, 8 and 9 kind of year, which would really be a bummer because you've invested so much into this season. So get your shit together.
I mean, yeah, let's just go ahead and move on to defense, because I don't think there's anything else left to say offensively.
Right. I don't even really think there's much to say defensively other than penalties and the negatives, at least, on the negative side. Yeah. We're just a little too aggressive sometimes. The Kyle Hamilton hit was definitely a penalty. I don't think it should have been ejected because it was just a boom, boom play. It's so hard.
I just think there's not a clear rule stating, if you hit someone helmet to helmet, you're going to get ejected. Just like that's how it is in college. In the NFL, It's just, we're going to fine you. There's no, and we're going to give you a penalty. There's
you need to at least establish there's malicious intent. You
can't just go out here and say, let's go ahead and kick him out.
That could have hurt us big time down the stretch.
Dude, we wound up with
was still in the game. They could have probably tied it and taken it to overtime.
When Marcus Williams went out, we had to move Brandon Stevens back to safety.
He did a good job.
He did, but I'm just saying, like, I think it was more so a result of our defensive line getting after the backup quarterback too. Then he didn't really have
Yeah.
much pressure on him, but still, like
Yeah.
that could have really hurt us.
Um,
And so like we have 6 sacks. It was really good to see Clowney
Clowney, I
got
told you. I told you.
back to back sacks. Matabike with 2 sacks. I called that one.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Queen and Kyle Van Noy each had a sack.
Patrick Queen is like playing out of his mind this year. And I would love to find a way to keep him. I know it's very unrealistic, but can
how
you
I feel.
imagine Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen plugging it up for the next 4 or 5 years?
It's and on top of that, like
Every
I
game.
mentioned with the offense, the leadership. Him and even Clowney said it in his post-game presser. He said, Roquan and Patrick Queen are on our asses. Like they do not let us let up. They don't let us take a play off. Like they are going to make sure that you are held accountable. That's a
good.
leader.
You know what? I think what happened is Roquan Smith came and saw that we didn't really have real leadership on this team. And don't underestimate don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We had leadership in the sense of like everyone follows Lamar, everyone looks up to Lamar, but he's not like this big vocal like Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs kind of guy. We didn't have anyone who was just going to instill that fire into the team, or at least into the defense. Most of our big guys on defense were like really good. Were either soft spoken or just kind of like quiet dudes. But then we got Roquan, and Roquan likes to talk, and Patrick Queen just loves to study Roquan. So you got 2 guys who are pretty much cut from the same cloth and are tearing it up every week. And if they stay healthy and continue to go like this, then they will probably continue to at least partially carry this team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had on top of those sacks, we had 10 quarterback hits. Geno Stone caught another interception, so now he is tied for the lead in the NFL with 3 interceptions.
As a backup.
And like you said, the biggest only negative that we had were all the pass interferences, both on Marlon Humphrey and on Brandon Stevens, I think, are the 2 that mainly got those flags. But
those were the 2 that were like legitimate pass interferences.
I know Mollett got called for one.
That was not. I thought that was
that was a very tic-tac penalty. But
and then wasn't who? It might not have been a pass interference. It might have been a defensive holding that I'm thinking of.
You know what's crazy with Clowney is he had his most productive game and probably the least amount of snaps he's played all season. He only played 51% of the snaps on defense. And I think most of the other games he's played closer to 90. So maybe because a result of Kyle Van Noy playing more. But
I think it also has to do with the illness he had this week.
Maybe that too. But maybe by playing less, when he is in, he's fresher. I mean, 2 sacks, you can't argue with that. So we'll see how that plays out going forward. But just final thoughts, I would say, like we already mentioned, we got to clean up the red zone offense to be able to put teams away and keep the defense off the field because they're on the field way too much in the second half. And Detroit is going to be by far the toughest game we've had so far this year. The AFC North went 3-0 this week. So we are we're back in sole first place of the AFC North by half a game over Pittsburgh. But we're still only 1 game up over last place because Cincinnati or Cleveland is
not making sense again. And
and then, like you mentioned, trade deadline is in 2 weeks. So I'm curious to see if we do make a move.
Are there any players you have your eyes on?
I know the media has been talking about Saquon Barkley. To me, that's just a rental. It's just, I mean, is he a top running back in the league? Yes. Would he make us better? Yes. Do I think it's going to be worth what we trade away? No, because it's a rental. We're not going to be able to re-sign him. And we have J.K. Dobbins. That's pretty much saying, okay, goodbye, J.K. Dobbins. And I mean, I think if you trade for somebody, it's got to be someone worth like keeping for long term. And I'm just thinking positionally right now. There's not one position to me that really stands out that we have a huge need in. Maybe corner, but the way Brandon Stevens has been playing, I don't think it's that big of a need.
We might
And
make like a depth free agency signing, but if we make a trade, probably not for a corner.
yeah, like I don't see us trading for a corner unless someone goes down within the next 2 weeks. I
You
don't
know,
I don't know.
if the Vikings keep losing, they have that edge rusher. What's his name?
Hunter?
Hunter. Yeah, Daniil Hunter. He could be like if I mean I know we've just signed a bunch of guys, so that might not make sense. But Daniil Hunter needs a contract, and he could be a long-term solution, especially because it doesn't necessarily look like both Ojabo and Owe will work out long term. Um, and we have money now to sign, but we probably won't have a whole lot over the next couple of years to sign impact players like that. It'll really have to be homegrown. So this might be maybe this year and next year might be our last opportunity to make a big trade for like a name player that's not already on our team. Um, I think edge rusher would be a good position to fill. And then if you did do something else, I liked what you said earlier where you trade Bateman, but I would do like a pick and Bateman for like straight up better wide receiver. So like maybe like a third round pick in Rashad Bateman for Terry McLaurin, or like, well, I know he wouldn't be realistic for that trade, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we could even like trade for what's his face in Chicago. I really like him. I always forget his name though. Darnell Mooney. He would be a nice trade to have
He'll
just
be
for
a
depth.
potential free agent next year too.
Yeah, so we could. Well, then we probably won't want to trade for him. Some people, I keep hearing Hollywood Brown. Please do not bring Hollywood Brown back to the Ravens.
I don't
He
think
is.
DaCosta would do that.
Yeah, I don't think he would either. Um, there was one more that had like piqued my interest that I had heard.
I mean, to me, the only one that makes sense right now is the Saquon Barkley trade, but it would have to be us trading away something that like it wouldn't be a first round pick. It may not even be a
We
second.
could
I think
always
it would be a
trade for
third.
a
I
guy
would
on
do
a.
it for a third round.
Yeah, I wouldn't because then we'd have J.K. Dobbins drama
No,
versus J.K. versus
because
Saquon. Who are we
Saquon
going
would
to?
be a rental for this year. We're basically saying we're going all out for this year, kind of like the Rams did back in the past, and
Yeah,
we're not going
okay.
to re-sign him.
Leonard Fournette's also still a free agent. If we really wanted someone,
I'd rather have Gus than him.
dude, Leonard Fournette. Why does everyone hate on Leonard Fournette? He
No,
was literally for half of his career he sucked, but for the other half, and it hasn't been like the first half he sucked, the second half he was good, or the first half he was good, the second half he sucked. It was like off and on. So I know he's like kind of inconsistent, but when he's on, he is on, man. He is a game changer when he like hits that gear and he can just plow through people. He's a big reason why the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl that year. Obviously, Tom Brady is the biggest reason, but he had a lot of production that year.
I
And
just know
then
that the shelf life of running backs is short. He's got a lot of wear and tear on those legs, and even in college, they wore him out.
I
So
will say, people are forgetting we still have Keaton Mitchell who hasn't touched the field yet.
Harbaugh
So
also mentioned in the presser that it's likely that Monken is going to try to get him into the game on offense because this week he just played special teams.
yeah, yeah. So we're probably going to see what we have in him before we would make a trade for a running back. Another interesting one. It looks like Antonio Gibson's probably not going to be the lead back in Washington anymore. So if we need a
He
depth, he
hasn't
might
been
be.
at all this year.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is like he's officially lost that job. I feel, and I think that could be a good depth trade as well if we needed it.
I don't
But
think we trade for a running
obviously
back unless it's a star.
you never really want to make. I know a lot of Ravens fans are like excited about trade deadline and all that, but really, if you don't need to make a trade, don't. Unless it's something that you feel really, really will benefit you. Like if we were to somehow miraculously just trade for like Tyreek Hill tomorrow, great. That makes our team so much better. Make that trade. But if you're going to trade for someone who's like just depth, you might as well just sign a free agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see
So,
what happens. We got 2 weeks. I'm sure if we do have any injuries over those next 2 weeks, that could be a factor in that. But I think that's it for now. Let's
yep.
we'll reconvene later on this week with the week 7 preview. versus the Detroit Lions.
They're gonna bite our kneecaps and probably make us go 4-3.
Hopefully not. But anyways, make sure you guys
I'm
hit us up
kidding.
with a like, subscribe, and follow, and turn on those notifications. See you guys.
Yep, subscribe.